What's going on, YouTube? This is HeirOfGotham, and I got something different for you today. So, as you can see, I just died on the B flag, or near it, and I'm 12-8. Alright, my team is getting triple capped, or at least we're about to get triple capped, so I jump on the A flag to try to counteract that. As you can see right here, I got my boys Jay and Airborne with me at the A flag, and to be honest, the reason why I'm 12-8 is because I kept on jumping on B or coming near B, and I kept dying. The other enemy team had pretty much every head glitch locked up, and aside from myself and my two boys, you know, the other half of our team were just doing whatever the hell they wanted to do. They were staying away from the B flag altogether. End result, I die constantly on B, and so right before I let myself rage, I decided to switch it up. You know, I decided to look at this game and say, okay, how can I change things? Okay, how can I adapt to my enemy, adapt to my team in order to get this W? As you guys know, I'm very competitive. Alright, so I'll tell you a little bit more about that as you guys watch in the background. But before I get into it, I was reminded recently about a video I made back in the summer with the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 beta, where I did sort of a podcast, and I want to do another one of those. So I'm going to need you guys, I'm going to need your help when it comes to that. I have a couple of topics in mind that I want to talk about with the podcast, but if there's anything in gaming, in Call of Duty, in whatever you guys want to talk about, if there's anything that you want myself and my guests to discuss, any questions you want us to answer, anything like that, any tips on gaming, whatever it is that you think would help you guys, please drop it in the comment section, and I would absolutely make sure I put it in the video. I'll put it in the podcast that I plan on doing, because I actually want to start doing this maybe once a month. Now, it does depend on my schedule as well as my guest schedule, and I would like to have some kind of rotating guest system or schedule, whatever the case is. So what I'm gonna do is let's do this first video. Let's see how you guys take it, if you enjoy it, and I'll keep it going if you enjoy it. Now, if you'll notice, the commentator, you know, the announcer just announced that the enemy called in a hostile RAPS, and it sounded like a hostile Wraith as well. And there it goes, multiple hostile UAVs. Now, these guys are pretty confident right now. They're feeling like that they have their boots to our throat, and they're pretty much beating us down. Problem is, they just made some mistakes. I don't care if they're about to loot their streaks or what. They just called in multiple streaks, and the game is over. So I'm sure they're happy, as this guy Juanito got the final kill cam. And look at this, I'm 20-8. You know, I started the score at 12-8, so I'm on a little bit of an 8-kill streak, and I got all my streaks. And let's see what the enemy has, since they used all their stuff before the match. Okay, so the topic of the video today is basically that sometimes in life, in gaming, in pretty much anything you do, you get stuck in a pattern. Okay, get stuck in a rut. You get stuck doing the same thing over and over again. You know, a little cliche, but what's the definition of crazy? Is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And sometimes you end up getting in a rut where you end up doing the same thing over and over again, and it's just a habit. You know, it's just a force of habit where you're just doing it because that's what you become accustomed to doing. And specifically with Call of Duty, it's very easy to let that take over you, and it's very easy to end up screwing up things that, you know, whether you find kill death ratio or score per minute important or not, you know, having fun in the game a lot of times is dictated by how well you do in the game. So what my suggestion is a lot of times, guys, if you feel like things are going wrong, you feel like maybe you're not doing too well, pause for a second. I don't mean pause the game, obviously it's an online game. I mean, step aside for a second, analyze everything that's going on, and adjust your strategy based off of what you've analyzed, okay? So when you're playing against other enemies in a game like Domination or TDM, and you see that they're all camping in one specific area, you know, flank the enemy, you know, try to shoot them from a different angle. If you don't think that's gonna work, then try something else. You know, don't just keep on doing the same thing over and over again. And the number one thing I can tell you guys is when you get killed by an enemy, they're expecting you to go for a revenge kill. I'm telling you, everybody expects it. So why are you gonna do something that allows the enemy an advantage. Don't run into their gun. Don't run into their bullets, you know, and get a revenge kill for them to help further their streak. Okay? So here's some examples of what you can do. Okay, so first things first, let's say you're playing against a team that is extremely aggressive, okay, and that they keep on rushing into your spawn. There's a couple things you can do to adjust that. You can either find a spot where it's hard for you to get shot in your back, hard to get flanked, and you can just keep an eye on it. It's almost like camping. You can call it tactical immobilization, as I've heard Thunder say once before. But you can hold down a spot and let the enemy just feed your kill streaks. That's one way you can do it. If you're against camping or it's just not your style, if you feel like the enemy is taking a certain path, you can go the opposite direction and just play the game of who can flip the spawns the most and get their streaks first. You know, that's another way of doing it. You can be very objective and you can actually go near the B flag. Even if you're not on the B flag, there's a very wide radius that you get credit for defend. So you can go near the B flag and just go for kills. And
every single one of them.
You'll get you'll get your defense and you'll get your capture hopefully. But you'll also get your score streaks out a lot faster because let's be honest, having a Slayer on the team is one of the best ways to throw the enemy off balance. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we actually have put a big impact in this game, and a lot of that had to do with my streaks, the score streaks that I was on and that I saved for the second round. You know, and this is not anything new. As you can see, I died just after I got the Relentless. But this is not something that is new. I mean, I'm sure everybody knows that when there's 2 rounds in a game mode, most people say their streaks for the beginning of the second round as soon as you go let them out. So that's the mistake that my opponents did. They decided to go ahead and drop their streaks, and I haven't heard any streaks in the game since then. You know, and I'm gonna be honest. From this point on, I die a lot trying to capture the B flag or trying to defend it. So you know, the Relentless was pretty much the biggest part of the streak. But what you're gonna notice is that my team ends up taking a really good lead, and the reason why we're able to take that lead is because of the fact that, one, we had a Slayer. You know, I switched up my game mode and I started being a little bit more defensive, so I started with my streaks. And 2, my boys, Jay and Airborne Oliver, they started going to do more of an objective-based attack to make up for the teammates that we had that we weren't really doing that, you know. And a couple of people left the game and joined the gaming and all that, so I'm not really gonna stress too much about that. But you know, take a look at this game, guys. Keep in mind, a lot of times, the reason why you're failing in a situation or the reason why it feels like it's a struggle is because you're doing the same thing over and over again, and you're not attacking whatever it is that's bothering you from a different angle. Okay? So, video games, work, friendships, relationships, life, you name it. Sometimes you have to attack it from a different angle. Sometimes you have to analyze things before you take that next step. Alright? It's very important. You know, in video games it's easy to just run into a fight, but it's not always going to do you a good thing. It's not always going to be in your best interest. So this game is wrapping up, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Try to avoid any kind of edits and things like that. I try to go right off the cuff. So I hope you enjoyed it. And without anything said, I'm going to let my boy Airborne close it out.
Oh, yeah. Airborne. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Elbow gotta be in. Yep. Much better. Alright, okay. Yo. Got it.
TACOM requesting redeploy to new hot zone. Must be the best. Die like the rest.
Ace or ace took that.